Henry.
All right, Queensland's award-winning Flynn's restaurant has banned all children under 7 from the establishment after a dispute between toddler's mother and its staff. It says they want parents who can't control their kids in a public setting to go somewhere else. Cobb & Co. So how big is this problem? With me now is Tony Stewart, the owner of Auckland high-end award-winning restaurant Clooney. Tony, thanks for joining us. Did you even know this time of day existed?
Well, I sleep through it, so I do know that, but no, it's a bit
There
early.
are very few restaurateurs up right at this minute. All right, you would have heard this story, and you will have heard the outrage, some of it faux, but the outrage from the wowsers who say, oh, you can't. Banning children, what an appalling thing. What do you make of this?
Look, I think he's entitled to. He knows his business like anyone else. I'm sure he's weighed up the repercussions, and he has a clientele to protect. Personally, at Clooney, it would be detrimental to my business if I allowed a child to potentially ruin the night of many others.
Because that is one of the things you're charged with. It's not just, running a restaurant is not just a matter of producing great food. And it's the entire package. It's the entertainment. It's the mood that you create.
Yep, I have a responsibility to my dining guests. They're paying big bucks and the night has to be perfect.
People that know Clooney's will know that it is a very high-end restaurant, that the decor is designed for fine dining and is certainly not designed for young children to be running around pulling at it. Do you have problems at Clooney's with young children?
No, occasionally every 3 to 4 months you might get it, but it's not New Zealanders, it's more overseas guests, and I do understand where they're coming from. They're trying to travel, they're travelling with their children, they probably don't have any caregivers, so they try to make the most of it. But there's an element of being selfish, but because it does really affect, in our case, we've only got 16 tables, and 15 of those are ultimately affected.
Yeah. So in this instance, here is a high-end restaurant. The woman has said, my child's behaviour wasn't that bad. No one realises how bad their own children's behaviour is. And she said there were only a couple of other people in the restaurant. But those are a couple of other people who've made the choice to spend extra money to go and experience a fine dining experience. At what point is it ever okay for people in a situation like that to have to put up with screaming from a child at another table?
Well, it's not at all. Firstly, if the restaurant allows it, they should automatically leave and try and calm their child. But it's not just the crying, it's the distraction. And especially with Clooney, it's very dark, so you actually hear things before you see them, but that in its own right is quite off-putting.
Oh, absolutely. And as we're saying, that it's an atmosphere that you've gone to a great deal of skill and effort to create, and it can be destroyed so quickly.
Absolutely, and it's a tough industry as it is.
Okay, so it's evening time, the doors open, and this family walk into Clooney with a young child who's already starting to go rabid. What do you do?
I'm lucky enough we have an alternative area that we can seat them, and I'll just explain that to them, and I'll try and be as open and as honest as possible, and understanding that they also want a lovely meal, but I will make a stand and I'll say, look, I'm sorry, in this situation we do have this other area and we can't really have you come into
Have
the
you ever
dining
been faced with a situation of a full-on row with a parent who just says,
No.
I'm paying my... You haven't?
No, I think we've got very discerning customers and very understanding customers, and to this day they have been that.
So in this case, this owner here, Liam Flynn of Flynn's in Queensland, is being ridiculed now publicly as a result of taking this stand. What would your recommendation to him be?
Yeah, look, I think 7's a big call. I've got an 8-year-old boy, and he's amazing, and he's been amazing from
Well, you can have 2
5.
7-year-olds who behave quite differently to each other.
Absolutely.
So what would your recommendation be?
I think just stick with it. He knows his customers better than
it's his
anyone.
restaurant.
Absolutely, it's his restaurant. If he's drawn a line in the sand, and he understands the repercussions, weighs them up, all for it.
All right, brilliant. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. You can go back to bed now. Tony Stewart, Clooney restaurant owner. Great to have your company this morning. Let us know your thoughts on this as well.